Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be taking a look at Battle Royale and everything that you need to know that's new in Battle Royale for this year. And in reality, it's really not that much, but I think that they did make a couple little bitty changes that are going to have a pretty significant difference in at least the meta of Battle Royale, how you approach drafting, how you approach putting your team together and all that. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing that we're going to talk about is your rewards. We talked about this yesterday, that you're going to have your choice of 5 rewards. I'm just kind of going to repeat myself just to make it a little more organized. Yeah, you have your choice of 5 rewards, and whenever you go flawless, they're going to pick 3 of those rewards and put them into a choice pack, and you're going to be able to choose one of those 3. So you don't really have a choice of 5. There is a pool of 5 players, and they'll pick 3 of them, and you get to choose one. So that's a lot different, and that will, make your decision a little tougher whenever you go 12-0. You'll probably just end up picking the guy that sells for the most on the market. I know that's usually what I do. I play Battle Royale for stubs, not really for players, unless it's someone that I really want. But that's usually not the case. So yeah, you might not have to put that much thought into it, but maybe there are cards that are pretty close and you might see one going up, one going down. You have to make a choice that way. Anyway, the second thing that they changed, and this one is even bigger, is, as you can see, they're doing a Battle Royale draft behind me right now, and there are a few changes. First of all, you have 3 diamond rounds now. Not only that, you have 3 gold rounds now, to go along with, I think, 7 silver rounds, 8 bronze rounds, and 4 common rounds. Now, I think whenever they put this in, whenever they made this change, the thing that they were trying to do, they've been trying to do this for a while now, it seems like, to me anyway. They've been trying to figure out a way to make it to where starting pitchers are more important to draft. And they thought that by, just putting in more cards, more people will be inclined to pick starting pitchers. I think that was the wrong way to go about it. I think the only way that you can really guarantee that starting pitchers become important in Battle Royale is if you make it to where you only have like a 3-man rotation, or maybe even just a 2-man rotation, and you are forced into picking like 1 diamond, 1 gold, and 1 silver starting pitcher at like the beginning of the draft or something like that. That's the only way that I could see it ever becoming like really a big thing, so I don't really think that that's a particularly really good idea anyway. So I think that they should just leave the meta as it is, or make this change, which is fine. It's not going to do what they intended it to do. I think what this change is going to do is it's going to push the meta even further in the direction of your lineup, not the bullpen, not the starting pitchers, but your lineup, building as beastly of a lineup as you possibly can. I know what I'm going to do now in Battle Royale is I'm going to pick 4 commons for my starting pitchers, 1 crappy bronze, my 5 worst picks, all going to starting pitchers. And for those of you who don't know, the reason that you do that is because the pitcher select screen at the start of a game, it just randomly picks a pitcher. So if you waste a diamond round on a starting pitcher, you only have a 1 in 5 chance of getting that guy every game. So it really makes no sense to waste like a whole bunch of rounds on picking those guys when instead what you could do is just pick a crappy one, and then get a couple good bullpen guys and warm them up right at the beginning of the game, and then sub them in as soon as your starting pitcher gets 1 out. It works like that, and it works fine. That's what all the good players do. So I know it sounds kind of janky whenever you hear it the first time, but if you're new, just do it. I promise you it works. But anyway, back to the meta and where I think it's going. So I'm going to pick 4 commons, 1 bronze, and then for my lineup, all 3 of the diamond rounds, all 3 of the gold rounds, and then 2 of the silver rounds are all going to go into my lineup, or at least that's going to be my goal whenever I go into a draft. Now, if I ever have a round where, I have 2 really crappy diamond hitters and 1, really good relief pitcher, we'll talk about the Goose Gossage in a minute, but they kind of had a round like that in this draft, and they ended up picking the Goose Gossage. Then you know, fine. I'll take the diamond reliever, but I'm not going to be super happy about it. My goal going in is just going to stack my lineup with big power, contact, diamond hitters for my, you know, for the top 3 in my lineup, then 3 more gold, really good gold hitters for the next 3, and then just fill it out with 2 silvers that are as good as I can find on the silver market, just to have like a really balanced lineup and everything. And then you know, you don't even, like, after that you can even put like 2 really solid silver bench players for your lineup to sub in to pinch hit or to platoon or whatever you need them for. Also, before I move on, the lineup also needs to be balanced, righty lefty. I always try to mention that in a video like this, because people have a tendency to not really pay attention to things like that. Always make sure that you don't go too hard on like picking lefty hitters or whatever, because hitting lefty on lefty is really hard and your opponent can exploit that. But anyways, having 2 really good silvers on the bench, and maybe even like a bronze guy that's really speedy or something to pinch run for me, that would be my ideal team. And then I still have like 2 or 3 picks left to put into my bullpen. I guess my goal going in is going to be to try to get, I don't know, like 3 or 4 bullpen guys that are, you know, reliable. You know, that maybe one guy who's a little better than the others, because there are some silver relievers that are really good in this game. Find a guy like that, and then make sure I have a couple righties and maybe 1 lefty in there, and I'll feel good. I don't need more than 3 solid relievers in my bullpen to feel comfortable, because I can get one of those guys to throw 2, sometimes even 3 innings if I have to. And, you know, that'll last me almost a full 9 innings. And if I get into a lot of trouble or something like that, I can just, you know, roll the dice with the guys behind them, who will probably all be bronze pitchers anyway. So I don't have any reservations about punting the rotation and the sorry about that, my video ran out behind me. But what I was saying is, I don't have any reservations about putting, you know, all commons and then mostly bronzes in my bullpen with a few silvers thrown in there. My pitching doesn't have to be great as long as my lineup is stacked. I can get 3-4 runs a game with a stacked lineup easy, unless, you know, just something weird happens, like my opponent has filled Necro or something. Then I might run into a little trouble or something. But mostly, I think that this is going to be the meta going into 19. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. I don't want to get too wordy. I've already done that. My fucking video ran out behind me. Anyways, before we go though, there were 3 cards that I thought were really interesting that we haven't seen before, well, one of them we've seen before, but anyways, that I wanted to talk about before we left. So let's just go ahead and take a look at those cards. Okay, the first guy was actually really tough to catch because he just skipped over it, like fuck this card or whatever. I don't know why, because this card is going to be great in Battle Royale. It's the 93 overall 1966 All-Star Joe Torre. A lot of you guys, okay, one of my big strategies going into Battle Royale is to look for positional scarcity and attack those positions. So look for a position that is not very deep with really good cards, so there's no reason for you to expect that I can skip this guy because the next round there is going to be another really good guy at his position. Usually the positions that I'm talking about are catcher, second base, sometimes center field, sometimes shortstop. It's just really hard to get great hitters at those positions sometimes, depending on which game you're playing. But anyway, the reason why I like to go after these positions with my diamond rounds is because you can't expect to get anything that'll live up to that in your gold or silver round or your silver or bronze round. So if you find a guy like this Joe Torre, who's an extremely balanced hitter with perfectly reasonable defense, I mean 95, 84 contact with 80, 93 power and great vision, that's probably going to end up being the best hitting catcher in the game. So even if I were facing a round where I had a choice between this guy or maybe the signature Frank Thomas, like, not every time, but there are a lot of times I would go with this Joe Torre card, because I know that if I skip out on that Frank Thomas, I'll probably be able to find a perfectly good first baseman, you know, in a gold round or a silver round that hits really, really well. And so I'm not going to be stuck with a bad hitter at first base like I would at catcher. Like if you take the Frank Thomas, there's a good chance that you pick out the rest of your team, and then you're down to picking a catcher, and you end up having to take a guy that has like mid 50s contact with like low 60s power, and he's going to be a hole in your lineup. So always try to take positional scarcity into consideration. Now, it's not always going to be the trump factor. Like you have to figure out other things as well. But that's a big deal. If you have two cards and one card is a little bit better than the other, but then the other card fills a position where it's hard to find good hitters there, I would usually go with the worst card, as counterintuitive as that sounds, because even though you're taking the not as good hitter, your lineup overall is probably going to end up being more balanced because you decided to go with that guy. So that's just a little piece of meta advice that I would give to you guys, you know, beginners and advanced people alike. I don't know, maybe. But anyways, let's take a look at a few more cards. Okay, another guy that they were really hyping up during the stream, like, man, this Goose Gossage is going to be untouchable. So we've seen Goose Gossage cards before, and I'm not sure, is the Immortal one... he's probably better than this card, but I haven't seen a non-immortal Goose Gossage, or really any non-immortal card as good as this relief pitcher is, this Goose Gossage. 119 hitting K per 9, solid walk per 9, really good home run per 9, and then his stuff is obviously going to be amazing. It doesn't show his pitches, but it does. But you can assume based on past editions that he's probably going to have something like a four seam, a slurve, a changeup, and a sinker, something along those lines, because that's what he's kind of always had. And you know, like I said earlier, I'm not going to be so inclined to take a diamond or gold reliever in this style of a draft. But if I find myself in a situation where I have, you know, two really crappy diamond hitters or guys that I just don't really want, and then this Goose Gossage is up there, I could see myself taking this card, and I wouldn't be super happy about it, but I'd be fine with it. This card looks disgusting. So anyways, yeah, and now there's another card that I just kind of wanted to highlight to you guys that just kind of shows what I'm talking about whenever I'm talking about like finding good guys in the silver and bronze kind of level, you know, how beneficial it is to find those guys. Okay, the final card that we're going to talk about is this 79 overall Chris Sale. Now, I know that we've all seen this card before, and it's been in like either the past 2 or 3 years in the game. We've all had this 79 Chris Sale, and I've always contended that this card is one of the most valuable cards in Battle Royale. I remember a couple of years ago, we also had a silver version of Aroldis Chapman that was very similar to this card. He had like elite per 9s, and I mean, he was basically Aroldis Chapman, except he had really bad walk per 9 or something like that. Something that wasn't that big of a deal. And if you could get either one of those guys in the draft, then your lefty reliever was locked up. You had basically a diamond level a lefty reliever in your bullpen, but you didn't have to waste the diamond or gold round. All year long, be scouring your card inventory and all that, looking for guys like this that can fill just, you know, a huge role on your team, but it isn't going to cost you a diamond or gold pick. I love this guy. I mean, you know, great per 9s, great stuff, you know, great velocity, all the whole 9. I mean, he's basically a really good gold or a low diamond level pitcher, and you only have to spend a silver on you. So be on the lookout for guys like this, and there are some bronze level pitchers that are like this too. I think last year it was either like this past year or the year before that, where there was a bronze Billy Wagner card that kind of fit the same bill. Usually those cards are going to come from the bullpen, but occasionally you'll see some positional cards that are the same way. I know that Jed Jerko kind of has a few cards that are like that. In the past, Paul DeYoung had cards that were a lot like that. So yeah, just be on the lookout for guys like that. And guys, that is going to do it for this video. I guess I'll just go ahead and let that roll behind me. That is going to do it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like. If you guys are new, please subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. I'm almost up to 4,200 subscribers. My last video that I just uploaded yesterday, in under 24 hours, it got over 2,000 views, which is really, really good for me. So you guys really like that video. I'm happy. I didn't think when I uploaded it that it was going to do that well. So make me happy again. Make this video do it. I would really appreciate it. Share it with a friend or something like that. Tell your friends about me, you know. So anyways, guys, I love you. I will see you guys tomorrow, but until then, peace.